Welcome, one and all, to today's Review Wars. This is the show where I will review games, give them a greatness score, and have them battle it out at the end of the season. Today I will be looking at one of many Zelda games, The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. I will be looking at 5 main points: the story, game progression, dungeons and bosses, combat and enemies, and finally the side quest section. I will look at all sections and give each section a score from 1 to 10. Then at the end of the video, I will combine all numbers and give an average total. This will be the game's greatness score. If the game's greatness score exceeds the score of 5, then the challenger will move on to the next round. With that out of the way, let's take a look at this challenger. The story. Skyward Sword's story is really good. You are from the island in the sky named Skyloft, and you go to the Knights Academy. You are friends with Zelda up there, and Zelda gets launched beneath the clouds by a mysterious dark storm. You have to go save her with the sword you acquired from within the statue of the goddess. You go to 3 different lands all below the clouds. First, you go to Faron Woods. Second is Eldin Volcano, and the final area is Lanayru Desert. In each area, you are looking for Zelda, and you trek her down into 3 dungeons: Skyview Temple, the Earth Temple, and Lanayru Mining Facility. You then see her go into a portal called the Gate of Time. At this point, you learn about the 3 secret flames and the goddess's mission you're a part of. You search 3 more dungeons seeking the flames to enhance your sword. That's not all of the story, but it paints a pretty clear picture. It starts out as a journey to save Zelda, but then it turns into an adventure of growing stronger and completing the goddess's mission. The story is a very good attribute to this game. It's a very enjoyable experience. I give the story of this game a 9 out of 10. The second section is progression. Some of you might be wondering what I mean by progression. What I mean is how you progress through the story. Is it linear? Is it open world? Can you do things out of order? That kind of thing. This game is really linear. Some people might see this as a bad thing, but personally, I think it's kind of a good thing. Having the game be linear helps the devs make a much better and coherent story. The game's progression is pretty well paced as well. It's not too slow and not too fast. After the 6th dungeon, the pacing slows down a little bit too much though. That's a problem. But overall, the progression is great. Because the progression slows down a little bit too much in late game, I'm giving the progression of this game a 7 out of 10. The third section is dungeons and bosses. This game has some of the best dungeons in the Zelda franchise. Every dungeon in Skyward Sword is very good and has some of the best puzzles. One dungeon in particular is the Sand Ship. This dungeon is very fun and fairly difficult. The puzzles in this dungeon are very good because it mainly focuses on the time shift stones, which they should bring back in the future. The Sand Ship doesn't have that good of a boss though, which brings it down a lot. But the other dungeons in this game are all also very good. I wouldn't say any of the dungeons in this game are bad. Some of the bosses aren't that good though, but also some of the bosses aren't the best in the series. Galactos is an extremely great example of this. He's probably my favorite boss in the entire franchise. The bosses in Skyward Sword are creative and add a lot of fun moments to the game. I rate this section an 8 out of 10 because all the dungeons are great, but some of the bosses could be a little better. The fourth section is combat and enemies. The combat in this game is completely focused on motion controls. Some people absolutely love motion controls, others absolutely hate them. I fall into the category of liking them, with this game at least. Combat in this game is really fun because some of the enemies are actual challenges. Most of the time in Zelda, you just lock on and spam attack. But in this game, you have to think about where and when you attack. Otherwise, your attacks will be blocked. This is most prominent when versing the Stalfos enemy. They block most areas that you attack, making you decide which areas are open for attack. The combat is extremely good, but what about the enemies in the game? Some common ones return, such as Keese and Choo-Choos, but this game makes the basic Bokoblin a little more challenging, because they'll block your attacks. Most enemies have been upgraded because the Moblins are also more interesting, because they carry a large shield that you have to destroy. The combat and enemies in this game are extremely good. That's why this section gets a 10 out of 10. The fifth and final section is side quests. The side quests in this game are absolutely amazing. Every side quest in this game is good. At one point, you're working for an angry pumpkin farmer, and at another part, you're giving a wimpy friend drugs to help him build his strength up. This game's side quests are all creative and fun. Some even unlock mini-games after completing them, which is a nice bonus. Every side quest is just great. I rank this section with a 10 out of 10. Now that I've looked at the 5 categories, let's calculate the average score of the game. Drumroll, please. The power level of The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword is an 8.8. Well, congratulations, Skyward Sword. You are the best game on the board so far. Mainly because you're the first one to be reviewed for Review Wars. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.